I am as out of control as KJ this morning. First of all, I'm hot as heck. It's hot already here. I've got the AC going. The sky is cloudy and yuck. Happy Easter. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Java Man. Hey, little mousy girl. Another truth. Yeah. This has been one of those crazy topics. I'm sorry I'm late. Hey, that Amber chick. Hey, Bliss Chris, I had a hot morning where I was trying to get dressed before I came in and it wasn't going real well. Hey, Karma. Hey, Jan. So I don't know how many of you were around last night. There was some effery that went down yesterday, big time in our community. And I'm not even talking about you know who without a box of Kleenex. I'm not even talking about her for a change. Okay, when I first met Steve McRae, hey, Christine, hey, Karma Kid. When I first met Steve McRae, when Steve McRae first approached me and started talking to me about the plagiarism I was experiencing that I didn't, hey, Busy Bee, that I didn't even know was going on, he told me about a career in YouTube. And I said to him at the time, that is not a career. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Java Man. That is a really good name for her. She who shall not be named. So he told me this because we were having these long discussions about the fact that I was being plagiarized left and right and various other things going on. And he said that to me, and I just started laughing. I said, writing is a career. Doing this is a career. Doing that is a career. But going on YouTube and talking is not a career. I said that at the time. I do kind of stand by it. I still do. It can be a career. Is it a career for everybody? Heck no. I don't consider this a career. I consider this a helper to when I go to sell my book about my horrible church experiences and the other ones that I'm taking notes on. Because like I said, I always have 2 or 3 projects at once going on because, hey, Brenda Lee, when you get stuck on one thing, you move to the next. That's how it is in writing. That's one of the big things that I've learned. My hair's driving me crazy today. I'm sorry. I'm touching it so much. So I know I'll have without a box of Kleenex cards coming in. I'm sorry. I shouldn't use that word, but it's something we used to use in a fan group, an anti-fan group I was part of. We called everybody who obsessed over everybody that word. I need to just ban it from my lexicon and not use it any longer. But we were a salty bunch of old broads, and it was American Idol. It was when we were making fun of the people that would go crazy about American Idol. Someone once said he is a professional Super Mario Brothers 3 player. My comment is not a professional. Java Man, I think that things have shifted and things are different now than they were when I was first in the workplace. When I was first in the workplace, to consider what we're doing now as a career, when I first started writing, it was not something that there was a possibility to have a career by doing something like writing for Pathos or something like that. These are all new things that have popped up, and I think that we're still trying to come up with a new lexicon for everything and redefine everything. But I kind of got on to Steve when he said that. And I'm kind of wanting to get on to somebody else for saying something similar last night. I don't watch very many anti without a crystal ball streams. I just don't. I may watch bits and pieces, but guess what? I don't, because I don't have enough hours of the day. Yesterday, I spent an amazing amount of time cleaning out my washer and rewashing a set of sheets like 4 times because I didn't realize that my guests had left mud all over the sheets. Well, the pillowcases. I saw that there was flaked mud on the floor and I got that up quickly. I've been so sick that I just now got around to washing the quilts and the sheets because they left the beds made up. It looked perfectly fine. I just said, man, I'll wait till I can get around to doing that. An influencer, Java man, there's that too. So I was busy yesterday with mud and sheets and cleaning out the washer and grumbling because I had to rewash those stupid sheets 4 times to get all the mud out of them. Like I said earlier, I learned a lot when I hosted these people. It was a different kind of hosting than anything I've had to do before. So there's that. Yeah, I did, Amanda. I think it was just it is more compelling than WOACB. Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely took up more of my time than she ever has. So when I was done with that last night and I was looking through everything, somebody sent me a link to watch. And it was to Backwoods Barbie. Okay. I'm not touched with Barbie maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago. Hey, Sandy, maybe even more because I said that $100,000 wasn't much money and was laughing about it. And she kind of flipped out. It depends upon where you are. I'm just going to come out and say it. I've apologized to her for that sense because it was really insensitive of me. I think it really depends upon where you live, whether that's in the people you're with. Hey, Ginger Lee, as to whether that's considered a lot of money. Maybe where she lives in Mississippi, that's a lot of money, but here it's not so much. And it isn't in DC either. You might be able to afford an apartment, maybe, if that was your salary. Anyway, long story short, I rarely watch her. It's not because I don't like her or anything. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't watch very many without a box of Kleenex channels. I just don't. I have other stuff to do. Hey, Maria. And I like to watch history channels and things like that. I'm old as hell. I sit around and crochet when I'm not actually doing stuff. So here I was last night, and somebody's sending this link, and I went in to see it. And this is after somebody sending me a link to the one the night before where she cussed without a box of Kleenex out and just said some pretty horrible things. In Emily's recent discussion on Friday, I love the part where she said a journalist needs to know who they are talking to so they can verify the information. Java man, exactly. And that has been a problem with a certain person in our community all along. She's taken some things I shared with her in confidence, things I'd heard that I could not confirm, that I was never going to publish, and has made those centerpieces of what she's doing. So that's probably not. I didn't get to see all of Emily D. Baker last night. My husband kept interrupting me, and the various things were going on. And then somebody sent me the link to Backwoods Barbie. And I kind of lost my mind. Brenda Lee, I've always crocheted a lot. It's my therapy. So what happened last night with Backwoods Barbie? She did the most sad fishing stream I've seen in a long time. She was sad fishing left and right about things. And basically what she said was she said she loved Rennell Smith. If you don't know Rennell is one of the few without a crystal ball streams I will watch. I watch every one of Rennell's streams. I adore Rennell. I've talked to her a lot. But she can't be mad at people not shouting. Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to say, Bliss. Here's some things. Okay, she's mad at Rennell because Rennell did not edit comments that were critical of Backwoods Barbie. And I was pretty blown away by that's what she said, because I don't think that is really a part of the creator's job. If they want to edit their comments, they will. With me, I'm usually watching a history channel, something or other. So if a comment pops up, I'll see it and I'll usually deal with it right then. But even if it was critical of another creator, I'm not going to do anything because that's that person's opinion. It's only when somebody crosses that Rubicon into nasty that I actually do something with comments. So I really don't want to put down Backwoods Barbie. She is what she is. She has her own group of fans and things, and that's fine. But screaming at the post office website. Bliss, yeah, that's the thing. She was using mental health as a shield, and then she proceeded to beg for money to talk about she has a car note coming due, throw shade at Renelle, throw shade at a bunch of us. So I just wanted to talk today. What is the responsibility of a creator to their subs, and what are the responsibilities? And it's really pretty simple, I think. No one owes you a view. People that give you a view are doing you a solid. I mean, really. I mean, so people are free to view you or not view you as it strikes their fancy, just like I'm free to view anybody or not. I don't owe anybody a view, and nor do you. You don't owe a view. You don't owe a super chat. You don't owe any of that to anybody else. Creators don't owe other creators editing their comments, a shout out, none of that. So we don't owe any of that to each other at all. And I'm not sure, like I said, that I'm not sure that this is a career for everybody. And I'm not even sure that this is a platform that everybody should be on. Why do I say that? Barbie and Renelle and others have talked about without a crystal ball's fans going after them. A lot of us have that experience. It's like every time you do a stream and you mention without a crystal ball's name, you're going to have somebody come in. Most of the time, the people I have come in, their comments are, your hair is gross, you touch it too much. That may be true, but I know where that's coming from. The other thing is, you don't have any subscribers, so you have no right to say anything. And that's part of that whole, what did I just say about you can do what you want. You don't have any responsibilities. You just have a responsibility to meet the terms of service for YouTube. You don't say those words. And I struggle with that because I always want to say the CULT word. I want to say the SA, the CP, because I'm used to that world. I'm used to working in that world where we don't use euphemisms. We actually use those when we go to court and things. But this is a world of euphemisms. Hey, sunny side up. There's no expectations, and you shouldn't be having expectations of anybody else. Get on here if you feel like talking, but know you're going to get pushback, and it's normal. It's normal. Sometimes it does get to you. When I have had to go in and see 10 comments about my hair, and I know where it's coming from. I know behind the scenes that WOACB has probably said something about my hair, and she's always tugging on her hair to make it longer. Nobody ever made their hair longer by tugging on it. Without a box of Kleenex, let me give you some long hair growth tips. Shampoo here, condition here, and as you get older, coconut oil is your friend. It's as simple as that. His name boils my blood. We're moving again, so I'm trying to do the permanent mail forward online. Bossy, that's no fun at all. I have dealt with that. You have to be humble, and you have to be able to take advice. If people all come in and say, hey, don't pick your nose on camera, well, guess what? You probably shouldn't pick your nose on camera. Hola, Fernando. With my crappy, almost non-existent Spanish here. You don't, it could be Java Man, because I'm tempted to forward her a video done by a doctor I follow, Dr. Jordan Wagner, the ER doctor. He did one on hair do's and don'ts. He did 10 ways that your reasons why your hair may be falling out, and the tugging was one of them. Yeah, gingerly. You got coarse ginger hair. I have coarse gray hair. It helps tremendously. Oh, you made it to an actual live. Yeah. I don't know that I speak it better than KJ Java Man because I have really basic level. It's like Quanta Cuesta, muy bien, et tu, asking people how they're doing after they ask you how you're doing, how they're doing. Just really, really basic stuff. YouTube isn't for everyone. Now, there's some people that manage to turn it into a good career and a living. Lawrence, Lost in the Pond, I'm looking at you. You've done a great service. You've also given me a blueprint and some ideas going forward for my Costa Rica content. There are lots of really great creators on here, but criticism is something that we are all going to deal with. And that is a reality. When I wrote for Pathos, I got tremendous pushback. You should see some of the emails and things that I got. I only started posting them at Jerks for Jesus after it became overwhelming, and it cut the flood down to a trickle, just like it has here, because I make no bones. You come here and you act like an ash clown, I'm going to move you over there. That's just the way it is. Yes, Reagan Hill, we're talking about Backwoods Barbie. And criticism is not bullying. Yeah, they do confuse it too. And there's a difference. Criticism is usually at least semi-polite. Bullying is never. There's a difference between saying, hey, you touch your hair too much, and hey, your hair is ugly and you're constantly touching it, you stupid. There's a big difference between the two. I believe so too, Jan. And that is kind of, because everybody struggles with different things. I'm not going to say everybody has mental health issues because obviously that would be a lie, but everybody has their struggles and we don't hide behind our struggles. We just do not do that because it's feedback. Yeah, feedback. Feedback would be a better word. Bossy, yeah. The postal system is not set up for those symbols for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, so you're going to get people to disagree with you, and that's not even unhealthy. I've had people that disagree with me that I might have blown them off at first and gone, no, that's not at all what's going on. And then later, as I'm washing dishes or whatever, and I'm thinking about what they've said and had to go back and said, yeah, you actually were right. That was what led me to send Backwoods Barbie an email and say, hey, I was wrong. I keep forgetting that in other parts of the country, not DC, that 100K is a lot of money. I guess it's perspective, It is perspective. I'm disturbed by sad fishing, whoever does it. I've called out other people for sad fishing. When you sad fish and you ask for super chats and things, to me, it just tells me that it's just a manipulative, let's not take personal responsibility for our bills or anything else person. Can you make a good living on YouTube? I'm sure there are some people that do it. I'm not bothered by that because I'm retired. So I come on here and say what I want, say what I need, and I just use my money for yarn. So I don't have that big push that without a crystal ball that others have to make the money. But here's the thing, maybe you work a job while you are building your audience and don't decide to just totally rely on internet money. I've been having the hardest time getting a Lifeline phone because my name is hyphenated. Oh my goodness, yes. Oh, it's a good thing you have detective skills, Bossy. Bossy, I finally finished my taxes yesterday. Or was it the day before? I think it was yesterday. And I couldn't get it to go through. The IRS kept rejecting it. I finally figured out what it was. It was an error on the part of of the tax stuff, the tax document. I finally realized the company that does the tax thing, they always put the wrong figure for me for AGI. So once I went in there and I set my AGI to the proper amount of money it went through no problems. There's always going to be those things. She asked for PayPal donations for reading KJ's latest court because she was alive. Again, YouTube is not for everybody. And I'm sure that if she wants to do that as a hobby and then have a job, that would work out way better for her and so many others. I mean, I'm even looking at without a crystal ball and thinking, why isn't anybody but you and your household working? Why don't you and your husband both have jobs? Why? Those documents are free. They absolutely were free. I was glad to see the commentary, especially about uncivil law. The uncivil law doc, I think he did a good job with it and pointed out what was actionable and what was not actionable. What's really interesting to me is was it last night? Katie Joy tried to say that people were copying her work, which is my main complaint with her, is that she's plagiarized just a ton from my Pathos column. So it makes me laugh. Yes, it does take two people working. And Michelle, I've worked two jobs at various times to make sure the bills are paid and everybody's going through college and everything else. You just do what you have to do, but you don't sit back and expect the moolah to roll in. I just don't think that that's a good plan of action. Get tired of every video starting with the struggle is real and how poor she is. Maddie, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear about your struggles in that detail. Hey, Dina. Yeah, this Backwoods Barbie is making all kinds of sad fishing claims and going after Renelle. That's the only reason I'm even talking directly about her. She said that Renelle should stand up for her and should edit these comments. You and I know that as YouTube creators, we don't owe anybody anything else like that. And also, YouTube is not for everybody. So that's basically what I'm talking about. Sometimes people overshare on YouTube. That is certainly true. I have to bite my tongue not to say about my various health problems all the time. And I know I sometimes don't do well at it. I'm doing better at it. Of course, I'm feeling better. So that might be how it is on here. Yeah, I hate when creators ask for money too, Karma Kid. It just makes it all very uncomfortable. Yeah, the usual, Dina. And I'm kind of sick of it because I would like to talk about other stuff. It does sound like something out of middle school. And middle school kind of sucked. I don't know about for you guys, but I hated it. I mean, I got to share this. The other day, I was on the phone with our brokerage company. We've moved almost everything out. We have just a little bit of money there. And the other day, I discovered doing taxes that not everything was all together. Okay, so I had to call them up and say, hey, can you move this to this and do this and do that? And that's exactly right. Suck it up, Buttercup. Stay on your own channel if you can't deal. You're exactly right, Brenda Lee. You've got to. You've got to. I mean, KJ is our common, I don't want to say enemy. Hey, Lola. But our common dislike. How about that? Our common dislike. The common denominator why some of us have come together, and we're all from all different walks of life. So I called this company up and said, hey, can you do this and this and this? And I ran into a bit of a problem because I couldn't answer one of the security questions I'd set up like 20 years ago or more, and I didn't have the answer. They kept asking me who my first boyfriend was, and I didn't have an answer for them. I was trying to think back. Who would I consider my first boyfriend? Was it the kid in first grade that kept following me around and calling me his girlfriend? Was it my middle school boyfriend? Was it the other middle school boyfriend? Was it the guy that I went to a dance with? Was it this one? And I couldn't cough up the right answer. They wouldn't let me in. Um, they wouldn't let me into my account. And this nice young man was not started being not so nice and accused me of being a scammer. And when it got really weird, my husband was in the background, ranting and yelling and carrying on and picking on me, saying, I don't know all these boyfriends. Who are all these boyfriends? You should only have me as your boyfriend. It's like, dude, I didn't even meet you until I was well into my 20s. So it would be impossible for you to be my first boyfriend. So while he's ranting and shouting, the young man is saying, ma'am, you have me on speakerphone. I'm going to hang up now. Like, no, I do not have you on speakerphone. And that's my husband. He's like squirrely. So pay him no mind. So, ma'am. So anyway, pulled up I finally pulled up my book where I had my passwords from 20 years ago, and I gave him the correct password finally. And it shut it all down, and it was nice. But at that point, I'd already been on the phone over an hour, been transferred all over the place. This brokerage firm had gone from very good to very bad very quickly, which is another reason why we moved all our money. We started having problems with just ridiculous things with them, and we just moved everything. And I was just trying to get one little simple transaction done so we could move the rest out. But I didn't tell him that at the time. So when I got off the phone, I busted out crying. It was that stressful. It was a long, stressful process. I got off the phone at like 3 hours in. And middle school. So when I coughed up the name of my husband, and he says, who is Mike? And I had to tell him the story of Mike. Mike was my middle school boyfriend when I was like 6th or 7th grade. And we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend long at all. And it was just a bad experience for me because I was uncomfortable the whole time. I didn't know what expectations were. I didn't know. I was just like all the time. And I wasn't even sure I liked Mike. Mike gave me a rat as a present. I am not a fan of rats and mice. So anyway, long story short, I broke up with Mike and I gave the rat. Not a fan of rats and mice. So anyway, long story short, I broke up with Mike and I gave the rat to my best friend who wanted the rat badly. After I tried to give it back to Mike a couple times. Why? I just was not prepared in any way, shape, or form to have a boyfriend, and he was 2 years older than me. So it was a live rat. Yes, Java Bat, a live rat in a cage about this big. And that was a white rat, but it was still not something that I had. And then my father made it worse by constantly referring to the engagement rat and laughing. And I was just turned red as a beet every time, going, I don't want that. I don't want engagement. Like it was just the whole thing. I was just not friend's pet rat. Oh, that was terrible. So the rat was done. Mike was done. Interestingly enough, when I was 21 and newly single, I met Mike again accidentally. I ran into him when my car broke down and he stopped to help me. Well, Mike told me he had always loved me still. And it was like, oh my goodness. So he asked me to go out with him. And I started thinking, it's like, well, I'm not dating anybody. There's slim pickings out there. I'm going to go out with Mike. I'm going to give him a second chance. And it was a huge mistake. I learned something. I learned that you can't manufacture chemistry. It wasn't there when I was in middle school. It wasn't there when I was 21 either. And Mike's family was all kinds of horrifying in every way to me. They were completely devoid of anything I would consider. His parents lived in a home that looked like it was out of an episode of Hoarders. It was really sad. And he had oodles of little brothers and sisters. His mother was on welfare. His parents had never married. He had a sister who had like 5 or 6 kids too. And they're all living in this tiny trash-packed place. And the father ran a bar in the bad part of town. So I went out with Mike 4 or 5 times, and it was just like, no. No chemistry, horrifying circumstances. I can't cope. He didn't give me a snake or a rat, Java man. He was actually really sweet and kind, and he'd make somebody a wonderful husband, but not me. It was just not for me at all. Oh, they do scare a lot of people, Dina. They just, but I know some people love them. I have a daughter that loves pet rats. Uh, uh, oh, my opinion, not yours. Thank you so much. Oh, wow, bossy. My father never did that. He just teased me about my engagement rat. And it was just bad. My father had a strange sense of humor, and most of the time he and I saw eye to eye and laughed over the same things, but I could not laugh over the engagement rat. That first boyfriend just brought out so many weird feelings in me. I mean, I just was freaking out. I had no idea what to do and what I thought and any of that, and there was no chemistry, zero chemistry at all. And when I was 21 and got to know him better and he kissed me, it was no chemistry. It was dead battery, nobody home. Why is it always the ones that love you the most that you have zero chemistry with? I don't have a clue why that is, but it seems to be a universal truth. So for me, middle school was a horrible, horrible time in a lot of ways. My parents were divorcing. I was dealing with Mike and rats and various things. It was just not good. They had recipes for cooking rats in World War II. I did see that. I saw World War II and World War One cuisine. No, Amanda, it was good that that happened because I learned from it. I learned where my lines were in a lot of ways. And that was one of the things that I've said when my daughter decided to kiss dating goodbye, that when it's those experiences that help us have healthier relationships later on to figure out what we want. And when we start having those things, those crushes, and they're called crushes because you feel crushed in middle school, it's all beneficial. It all leads us to where we're supposed to be. And if you cut that experience out, you end up in these relationships where there's zero chemistry and zero anything. And I am not a big fan of those. Oh, my dad. Yeah, my dad is awful. Was awful about the engagement rat, Amanda. Yeah, he was so insensitive. Oh, you want me to join your show? What time? Okay. So you're an hour behind me, so it's still 9:32 where you are. Let me see if I can regain my voice and I will join your show. In France, they cooked the elephants at the zoo in the Franco-Prussian War when Paris was surrounded. Java man, I know they did that with certain wars and certain. I know Vienna in World War II, I read that people broke into the zoo and took animals for that purpose. It's terrible, but it is what it is. I had a boyfriend at 14. He was 17. Your mom sat him down and asked him what his intentions were. 35 years later, we reconnected on Facebook. Oh, that's so nice that you've been able to put that back together. Unfortunately for me, once I left a boyfriend in the dust, there was no going back. And I tried with a couple, and it just never worked right. In Jakarta, is that where you're at, Sunnyside? My husband lived in Jakarta for a while. I don't know how long he lived there, but his parents were professors and they actually taught there for a while. Um, yeah, see, that's the thing. Uh, did you have a girlfriend in middle school, Steve? I'll bet you did. Or at least you had somebody you had a mad crush on. My husband still speaks fondly of living in Indonesia. He loved it. He loved it, but he was a kid then too. So I don't know if it's changed that much, but I know you have a very similar climate to what we have here, where it's nice and warm and toasty all the time. So now you know something about me that I had a boy that gave me a rat in middle school. Daddy, is for homework. Ah, oh, no wonder. No wonder your dad was so, because he was a teacher in the school system. 10th grade. Oh, spin the bottle. Yeah, sixth grade. I remember those parties where we would play spin the bottle in like seventh, sixth grade, and we'd all be piling in the closet and stuff. All those weird explorations. And I think you have to have those experiences to actually develop an ability to kind of sort out what you like from what you don't like. 7 minutes in heaven. I remember those. I remember those all too well. Toad. Java man, I may have to do that from now on, because at one security question, I just could not answer it because I start overthinking. I'm an overthinker in um every way. And this is what screwed me up with the first boyfriend question, because I started thinking, is this the first grade kid that held my hand for like 6 weeks and told me I was his girlfriend? Did I put his name down? Did I put mine down? Did I put the first guy I ever dated seriously when I was like 16 or 17 years old? Did I put my ex-husband down? Who do I put down? Who did I put down? Oh, Brenda Lee. I would not want to hear that either. Oh, goodness. That's terrible. Oh, what a great. Yeah. Another valuable lesson from that experience is that I'm totally okay with me not being attached to anyone in terms of relationship. Sunny side, I think that more people need to develop that attitude. I mean, the most fun time of my life was between the time I divorced my first husband and married my second. As great as my marriage has been, I am so glad I had those single girl years with my friends. And we were a low rent version of Sex and the City without all the sex. We would go out drinking every weekend. We would go bar hopping. We would dance. We would have a good time. And then we'd go home in a pack and then just talk. I'm so glad I had that. I'm so glad. I honestly miss those early days of exploration, first times and seconds, even third times. Steve, those can be a lot of fun. I lost my life partner 3 years ago due to heart issues. I'm still in a period of grief. Fernando, I am so sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. I've come close to losing my husband several times from health issues, and so far he's got the luck of a rabbit, and he's been able to beat it back every time. So I think that's what we need to do. We just need to, when people start sad fishing, we maybe need to just back off a little bit. Again, like I said, this can be a career. And like I said, Steve, I laughed at you the first time you said that. You said it was a career, and I laughed at you. And I've learned it is a career for some people, but it's not always. Fernando, that's how it is with grief. It just takes a while to get over it. It just does. So I laughed over that. Now, I've since learned that I was laughing for no reason. It can be a career for some, but for some, it really needs to just be a hobby. And I think that's people who maybe shouldn't be doing it as a career, more of a hobby, or doing it. And that's where the sad fishing comes in. Heart issues are rough. They thought I had one during my last hospitalization, but it just turned out I had 104 fever, and it was messing with my heart, as those things tend to do. First cars. Now see, if they'd asked me what my first car was, Steve McRae, I would have known that in a heartbeat. I know that. I know that stuff more. But I was my father's sidekick for many years, and I just know that stuff. YouTube can actually be a career, a job. It's a job for me, and I put in a lot of hours. Steve, that's different. That's different. You are not a sad fisher. You do the work. You actually do the work. And I've never heard you ask for money except for your lawsuit. And a lot of people ask for money for those sort of things. I've never heard you start crying and say you got mental illness, so everybody needs to give you money. I've not seen that. And that kind of sucks when people do that. I'm just going to throw that out there. It just does. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go so that is that bad self-promotion? I do too, Steve. I don't even remember to tell people to do the YouTube things or say who I am or their opinions, and don't bully anybody I've talked to. Don't be rude in the comments. I forget to say that. I forget to say thank you for watching. I forget not to kick my desk sometimes and make it wobble. Yeah, my brain is all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and go, and I'm going to try to go in a little while to be on your live stream, Steve. Just send me a link. Drop a link on Twitter, and I will try to be in there. Okay, love you guys. Have a great day. Try not to get too bummed out by people's sad vision.